Republicans are now paying special attention to San Antonio. They flipped a state house district that covers parts of South and East Bexar County. John Lujan defeated Democrat Frank Ramirez. Now the Republican Party says it wants to build on momentum in South Texas.
Just a year ago, President Joe Biden actually won your district. What do you think has changed from last November to this November that gave you this win?
The biggest thing that I think is in the Hispanic, I live in the Hispanic community, right in the middle of the Democrat district. So this seat has never gone Republican in the history of Texas until I won it, and which is history, right? So that's kind of exciting. But what I think the biggest thing is when we go block walking and stuff, people are frustrated. Families are frustrated. The Hispanic community has a reputation, has a culture of family, really family-oriented, faith, country. And when you have these things, these debacles that happen in Afghanistan, when you have all these border issues and you top it with high gas prices, people have had enough, and they said enough's enough. I happen to be the recipient of some of that frustration, right? And because I'm a Republican, they said, hey, but also because I'm known in the community. I do a lot of work with young people. I'm active in our church with our youth group. I run a football league out here. So I have a lot of folks that I know, and a lot of them are voting for me as a person versus saying, hey, we're going to vote for any party. We want to vote for you as a person. And with the environment, it makes that leap a little bit easier for them.
And from my understanding, you previously held this seat back in 2016. What have been the differences, say, for instance, with the border? What have been the differences that you are now facing, or the challenges that, maybe you saw in 2016, but you're seeing this time around? What are the similarities and differences there?
Well, you mentioned the border. A lot of people are frustrated with that. People are making the assumptions that Hispanics want open borders. But, I want it to be known that I am for a good, vibrant immigration policy and framework in place so that things can be done in an orderly manner. My son works at a camp, at a church camp, and he worked there all summer, and he had the privilege of working throughout the year now, preparing for the next camp. And that camp went and took a whole bunch of food to the migrants over there. And there was a lot of Haitians and stuff. They made like 2,000 sandwiches and took them all out there. And he called me, and he's 21 years old and really sharp young man. He says, Dad, my heart broke for these people. I looked into the eyes of these people, and they're hurting bad. He could tell that some of the females had been through a lot, where they've been raped or just beaten or whatever. He was just a lot of compassion. But then he said, on the flip side, I have so much anger because our government made this situation like it is. They did nothing, just open up borders and have chaos. And that's what happens when you have chaos. You have all this heartache and hurt. So people are very, very frustrated about that, and rightly so. So that's a national level. I'm a state rep, but I know Governor Abbott has taken a strong case on the border, controversial, but I'm willing to stand with the governor, and we need to do something. We've got to, it's not just for our state of Texas, which is big enough in itself, but it's for our country.
Yes, absolutely. It is so heartbreaking. And it's been, it's already November. We've been going through months of this border crisis, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better in Texas, but also throughout the country. We're starting to see the impacts of the border crisis firsthand. I wanted to build on, our conversation with flipping a Democrat stronghold to Republican moving forward for 2022 and 2024. How do you think Republicans can, build on this momentum, build on their gains within the Hispanic and Latino communities?
One of the things that I think that we need to do was something that kind of fell into my lap as I'm walking and talking. I'm talking about district issues, things like this. But when I hear everybody on this side being real upset of what's going on countrywide and it's affecting their vote, I think we have a moment in time right now that we have to take advantage. I don't like what's going on in the country, but we must take advantage of what is going on in the country. People are frustrated, and then we have to bring the right solutions to the table. And it's not always, oh, let's elect a Republican. It's about electing the right person. And we've got to get that right person in office, somebody with those conservative values that has the values of the mainstream. Too many times, we're moving by the minority, the loud minority that's going in there and just directing everything, while the majority just kind of sits back and takes it. And I think they've sat back long enough, and they're frustrated and said enough's enough. And that's why I'm working hard in my district, but I'm also helping other folks. Even some people from New Mexico came down to interview me, and they said the conservative movement's going down there. Would I go speak down there? So did an interview. So anything that I can do where I am, I love speaking and talking about these things, because we need to make changes. We need good men and women to arise and say enough's enough, and we want to get involved in the process so that we can do the change that needs to be made.